My mom who slept with my boyfriend just 2 days after my engagement. So I turned there. Romantic getaway. Into the ultimate viral scandal. They'd regret, I'm 26, and up until 2 days ago, I thought betrayal was reserved for bad novels and daytime talk shows. My name's Emma Lee. And this is the first part of what would become the defining moment of my life. A moment so explosive it'll be written in the history of internet scandals as the day the ultimate family meltdown went viral. It started on a muggy Thursday evening. I was still basking in the afterglow of our engagement party. My boyfriend, Jason, had proposed in a lavender field at dusk. Rosy, perfect, unreal. My mom, Helen, flew in from Seattle for the weekend, gushing over every detail. You two are adorable together. You deserve happiness. She hugged me, kissed my cheek, and slipped me a note. Meet me in the guest room in 5 minutes. Love you, I laughed it off, just my dramatic mom being extra. Nearly an hour later, I realized she'd disappeared. Not unusual. She loves exploring new towns alone. But her phone went straight to voicemail. I texted Jason. No reply. I paced our apartment, heart ticking faster. When I finally knocked on the guest room door and heard muffled voices, the world blurred. The door swung open. My mother's eyes were wide, mascara running. Jason stood behind her, shirt half untucked, face pale. For a terrible moment, I thought he was sick. But the heat between them, the sticky sweat on their skin, told me everything. My mother's breath caught. I knew before she spoke. I never meant for you to find out like this, Em, she stammered. He stepped forward, mouth opening, closing. I raised my hand, palm out. Don't, I whispered. My voice cracked, but I clipped it. I don't want excuses. I slammed the door in their faces. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would break free of my ribs. I grabbed my purse, phone and keys. I didn't care where I was going. All I knew was that I needed air. Needed to disappear. I drove aimlessly until my eyes caught the neon glow of a 24-hour cafe. I slid into a booth, knees shaking. My phone buzzed. Dozens of missed calls from Mom and Jason. I ignored them. I pulled out my laptop, opened a blank social media page, and stared at the cursor blinking back at me. I hesitated, then typed, "Okay world. Here's what happened." I swallowed bile and began to write, detail by detail, starting with the engagement party smile on my mom's face, and ending with that sickening knock on the guest room door. I uploaded screenshots of the plan, my mom's texts arranging the secret weekend trip, Jason's overly enthusiastic responses, even the receipt for their hotel room charged to my shared card. I hit post. Silence. Then the notifications exploded. Likes, shares, comments. My story was bleeding across feeds. People were outraged. They called it the most twisted family betrayal ever. Influencers quoted my words, hashtags #FayMomShamed and FayEngagement scandal trended within minutes. I watched, half in horror, half in exhilaration, as strangers rallied behind me. That poor girl. I'd do the same. Liquid courage at its finest. Even local news outlets were calling for interviews. Through it all, I sat alone in that diner booth, heart hammering, fingers trembling over the keyboard. I hadn't anticipated this. But as the first wave of outrage peaked, I realized I was no longer the victim. I was the architect of their downfall. The viewers weren't just consuming my pain. They were weaponizing it. Turning Mom and Jason's betrayal into fodder for every trending algorithm. By the time I left the cafe at dawn, the city was waking up to my story. I'd blurred my face in videos but left them enough to see their regret. Mom in shades, head bowed. Jason's jaw clenched. Posture rigid. My post closed with a promise. This is only part 1. Stay tuned for the fallout. And yes, the revenge. I knew, even then, that this wouldn't just be a scandal, it would be a pivot point in online culture. People would cite it when talking about family betrayals, influencer ethics, and the power of social media as a public jury. In years to come, historians might look back on July 8, 2025, as the day private treachery met public spectacle, forever changing how families guard their secrets, and how quickly, and ruthlessly, the internet can expose them. The next morning, the world had already moved on. Or so I thought. My phone buzzed nonstop with new tags, direct messages, even friend requests from strangers who wanted to support my cause. I'd expected outrage at first, but by dawn, it had evolved into something darker, a relentless feeding frenzy. My mom's name was plastered across every gossip site. A dozen video compilations dissected her every word, every smile from the engagement party now reinterpreted as sinister foreshadowing. Jason's parents had publicly disowned him on Facebook Live. Every time someone dug up an old photo of Mom hugging me, they mocked her as a false matriarch. I felt a sick thrill watching from my apartment balcony. My face half lit by phone glow, the city sparkling below, as if celebrating my vindication. But the euphoria was short-lived. By midday, I realized revenge doesn't end with a single post. It demands endurance. I cleared my notifications and refocused damage control for myself, maximum devastation for them. I drafted my first follow-ups, a short video confession in the same lavender field where Jason proposed. I spoke directly to the camera, no scripted lines, just raw emotion. I named names, recounted Mom's gaslighting after the party's told you was just a mother-daughter spa day, And exposed Jason's lies. He claimed he was handling dinner reservations. Turns out he booked them for 2, not 3. Eddie. I pressed upload, then leaned back as I realized the most potent weapon was authenticity. Meanwhile, they scrambled. My mom issued a public apology on Instagram. 3 paragraphs heavy with regret but light on admission. I allowed my own loneliness to cloud my judgment. Jason's statement followed an apology to me, but also to any fans or followers I may have let down. A sly plea to the algorithm that still ranked him as an amateur travel vlogger. My video shredded both statements within hours. Viewers noted her lack of "I'm sorry, Emma," and him deflecting blame onto his busy schedule. I watched their credibility crumple in real time. Still, I needed more leverage. I probed deeper financial records, text logs, hotel check-ins. When I uncovered a joint credit card application they'd signed weeks before, meant for a family retreat, I knew I held the final piece. I leaked those documents to a popular expose channel under the headline, "When Mom and Boyfriend Collude, the Dark Side of Family Retreats." The response was immediate. The expose host described me as the whistleblower daughter we never knew we needed, and predicted, "This scandal will be a case study in PR schools." Within months. Back home, my mom texted Emma, "Please, let's talk in person." Jason tried to FaceTime. I didn't respond. I felt powerful in my silence, their panic feeding my resolve. But late that night, I paced my living room as the adrenaline faded. I realized one truth: viral vengeance consumes both victim and victor. My pulse hammered not with satisfaction alone, but with the fear of what I'd become. That's when the unexpected happened. A knock at my door, 11:47 p.m. My heart stopped. It wasn't my mom or Jason. It was my fiancé's sister, Lily, whose friendship I'd always trusted. She held an envelope. "He sent me this. Said you should see it." Inside were dozens of photos. Mom and Jason at the cafe where I first posted part 1, laughing over coffee as if nothing had happened. They looked normal. Not ashamed. Not regretful. They'd staged the entire thing for paparazzi shots, hoping to spin the narrative into a tabloid setup. That made me look unstable. My meticulously documented evidence, their tear-stained faces, it had all been an act. I stared at those pictures, heart pounding, brain racing. If they'd thought to rig that, what else was a lie? The realization hit me like a freight train. I was swimming in a sea of their manipulation, and every move I made could be bait. The scandal's virality was no guarantee of truth or justice. It was just noise. And in that noise, the real betrayal lay deeper than the weekend fling. I closed my eyes and made a decision: this game was far from over. Their contrived vulnerability needed exposure too. Tomorrow, I'd reveal part 3. A deep dive into their PR script, complete with behind-the-scenes evidence to unmask their performance. If they wanted a viral war, I'd give them one. But on my terms, where authenticity was king. As I slipped Lily's photos into a folder marked Phase 2, I felt the calm after the storm. The stakes had escalated beyond personal revenge. It was now a battle for truth in a world where reality bends for clicks. And in that battle, I would not relent. The envelope from Lily felt like a landmine in my hands, and as I peeled back its flap, I braced for impact. Each photograph inside was a smack in the face my mother and Jason mid-performance, in that same neon-lit diner. No tears, no regret, just a photo up. My pulse hammered as the cold truth washed over me. They'd staged the entire public breakdown to paint me as the unhinged one. I spent the afternoon sifting through data, piecing together the full scope of their deceit. There were the burner phone logs. Mom's calls to the unknown photographer, Jason paying extra for media rights. And the chauffeur's invoice showing a third party ferrying them around town. It was a grotesque charade, and I held the script. By evening, I had a plan more diabolical than theirs. I called in every favor: insider tips from the Café Hayes security guard, metadata from the hotel front desk, and the GPS trail from the mysterious photographer's van. My desk was a war room of red strings connecting evidence to motive. I could almost taste the perfect, vicious reveal. Then I composed my manifesto. Part 3. Deflating the public spectacle. I started with the confession I posted earlier, overlaying it with timestamped video clips of their fake weeping. I narrated the step-by-step breakdown. The photo shoot, a slideshow of them posing, intercut with the photographer's camera flash. I pointed out how their emotional pantomime began exactly when the flash popped. The burner phone betrayal screen recordings of my mother's texts to the photographer. Addresses, time slots, even the number of tissues they'd need. An arrangement fit for a reality show, not a mother-daughter spat. Jason's PR plot. Credit card statements showing payments to a local influencers agency, 2,000 for engagement crisis management. Their script wasn't just improvised, it was outsourced. I ended with an open challenge. If you were fooled by their tears, I offer you redemption. Here's the raw footage, uncut and unfiltered. Judge for yourself. Attached were download links to every unedited clip, every logged call, every bank transfer. At midnight, I hit publish. The response was immediate: stunned silence followed by outrage. My hashtags face staged spectacle and family fraud trended worldwide. Influencers dissected my breakdown like forensic surgeons. My mother's charity gala was cancelled when donors saw the receipts. Jason's vlog channel lost its sponsors. But the best blow came 2 hours later. My phone buzzed with a notification from my own secret channel, an anonymous tip that Mom and Jason were planning to flee the country at dawn. Passport stamps, private jet ready. They hoped to reset their lives before I could drop part 4. I leaned back, a slow grin spreading across my face. They'd underestimated me, thinking their celebrity status and family ties could withstand a daughter's wrath. They forgot one thing: I'm a storyteller, and every puppeteer becomes a puppet when the script falls into the wrong hands. I shut my laptop and locked my apartment door. Dawn would break on a different world, one where I held the power, the evidence, and the narrative. The final act was yet to come, and this time, I would direct the exit. The sun rose cold and gray the morning after I published the stage spectacle expose, and I half expected to wake up to silence. Instead, my phone buzzed like a swarm of angry hornets. The tip about Mom and Jason's hasty escape plan wasn't a bluff. They'd already purchased one-way tickets on a private jet set to depart at 6:00 a.m. The boarding pass in Lily's tip included their real names, flight number, and even the tail number of the Gulfstream waiting on the tarmac. It was beautiful chaos. I sprang into action. First, I called the cafe's manager, my ally since part 3, who agreed to retrieve any CCTV footage and block the diner's rear entrance. Then, I messaged Tom, the security guard at the private airfield, asking if he could stall their departure under the guise of a routine safety inspection. Every second counted. At 40:15 a.m., Lily appeared again, this time with a taxi receipt showing they'd been dropped off near the runway's service gate. Her eyes were wild with urgency. "They're moving," she whispered, handing me the GPS ping on her phone. "Gate 3. They'll be through in 10 minutes. My heart thundered, but I couldn't let panic show. This had to be theater as well as strategy. I tapped out a live alert on my secret channel. "Fet family flight fail, catch them if you can. CCTV inside and out." Moments later, tweets with screenshots of the token boarding pass splashed across Twitter. Then I tagged the local news station and a viral aviation blogger. The world needed to see this dismantling in real time. At precisely 5:05 a.m., I received a photo from Tom, the Gulfstream's nose. Pre-flight lights blinking, and 2 familiar silhouettes approaching the steps. I hit "Go Live" on my impromptu stream from Lily's phone. The feed went viral within seconds. It was a private plane, but the agent at the hangar wore a name tag from Mom's charity, complete with the same black corporate card I'd posted in part 1. My mother's eagle-itch emblem glistened in the pale light. Mom and Jason paused mid-ascent, eyes flicking to a swarm of phones aimed at them. The pilot hesitated, glancing down at his radio. Behind them, the hangar door burst open. The cafe photographer from part 3, still disgruntled after I refused his steady pay, charged across the tarmac, waving his camera like a banner. Flight logs showed the pilot's playlist set to International Spies. An irony not lost on me. Then, sirens wailed. Tom's backup had arrived. 2 unmarked SUVs flanked the runway. The pilot shut down the engines. The dream of escape crumbled into smoke and betrayal. A local TV crew, tipped off by me, shone bright lights across the scene. Mom clutched her designer purse, mascara bleeding, but this time it was real tears. Ones born not of performance but of genuine panic. I stood across the runway's cracked concrete, phone live streaming the standoff. Jason's face turned to ash when he saw me in the flood of lights. For the first time, he wasn't the composed travel guru. He was exposed, vulnerable, and utterly defeated. Mom shuffled forward, voice trembling. "Emma, please," she began. But the mic had already caught every word. I raised a single finger to stop her. "Mom, save it. I've shown the world everything. Every lie, every stage sob, every shady payment. Now the only thing left is why you thought you could silence me with a flight." My voice rang out, crisp in the cold air. A hush fell. The pilot locked the cabin door behind them. The charity agent tried to explain. But the cameras zoomed in on the credit card slips he'd signed just last week. Lily snapped close-ups of the receipts as I narrated the timeline, once more for my audience. How Mom used charity donors' money to fund their illicit PR stunt. How Jason covered his tracks with burner accounts. And how their greed for attention had blinded them. Within minutes, airport security arrived with a warrant. My lawyer had faxed it at dawn, citing fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to commit digital defamation. Mom and Jason were escorted to the terminal office, their faces burned onto phone screens around the world. Comments streamed in. "Plot twist of the century. You're unstoppable. Family betrayal level. Legit RY." As the runway lights dimmed behind me, I felt a calm certainty settle in. The most dramatic act was over. Their flight was grounded, their reputations in ruins. All that remained was the final unraveling, the legal fallout, the public reckoning, the ultimate closure. Tomorrow, part 5 will be the denouement, the courtroom drama, the restitution of my stolen trust fund, and the moment the internet crowns me not just victim or vigilante, but champion of truth. For now, the stage is set, the players exposed, and the audience roaring for the final curtain.